Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of Favorite Questions. My guest today is a very talented artist. She is April Bay. She's originally from the Bahamas, but she's located in LA right now. She has had a lot of exhibitions in different galleries and museums, and she works across media, tackling different themes such as gender disparity, feminism, and challenging structures of power. Welcome, April.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So the first question is, how do you tackle race and gender through your work?
Oh, so many different ways. I have a lot of textiles in my work, and in particular, West African, Chinese knockoff wax fabric that is mostly sold by women. And that's one of the rules that I have in my work is that I tend to put a lot of my supply money into women-owned businesses because they also impact the trade that I'm making commentary on, and they're most impacted by colonialism and post-colonial ramifications, of course. And then race, I tend to focus on Black people because that's my experience. That's
Of
Black women
course.
in particular, and in general, just trying to understand like race under the American lens, because I grew up in the
Yes.
Bahamas, like everybody's Black in the Bahamas. But then suddenly when you come to the US, there's all of these different pockets that we belong to. So in my work, there's a lot of references to that and questions around that.
It's amazing. And of course, like as you were saying, you have the agency to talk about it that because you're especially, you're talking from your experience and it's, more valuable. The second question is that you sometimes incorporate text in your works, especially in some of your prints or artist books. What are your main references and how do you incorporate words or text?
Yeah. So when the text is in my work, I'm usually referencing design. Um, and outputs for design. So for example, like printed materials, books, like you mentioned, or printmaking, the traditional technique of printmaking. And that has a lot to do with art school, actually. Um, Being told by graphic designers I wasn't allowed to use type, being told that I was using text incorrectly, really, like, if you notice with a lot of my works, the text goes off the picture plane and probably doesn't make a lot of sense to graphic designers, but that's the point. It's a way of decolonizing process for me, and decolonizing discipline, really. And the text is usually referencing something related to what else is going on in the work.
Amazing. And so, as we were saying, you work across media. So, tell us a little bit about your process. How do you, select which type of media you're going to be creating on, and so on?
Sure. Um, well, I'm interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, and the technique and materials tend to go hand in hand with what the work means. So I keep a very long note on my phone with ideas, text-based ideas, and then I work digitally a lot to sketch. I have a tablet to sketch, and then when the moment comes that the two are connected, that's how they become work. The I have a background in printmaking. I have a background in drawing, painting. I was very privileged to go to schools that had a more interdisciplinary approach. So they felt that students would function better if they learned all of the disciplines and then chose from that like a recipe to make their own work. And so that's to this day how I work. It starts with the idea and the people, because I do portraits, and the person in the portrait. And then what I use to create that is up to what the meaning of the piece is. So if I use the Chinese knockoff fabric, I'm obviously making reference to Chinese neocolonialism and knockoffs as a concept.
Amazing. Something that caught my eye a lot is that you rarely use logo color. So, why is that, and how does color have any meaning in your work, or? Just tell us about that.
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, you're in Mexico City, right?
Yes,
Um,
right now.
so Mexico, the climate is very similar to the Bahamas. And I imagine the buildings are painted similarly. So at least in the Bahamas and tropical climates, we tend to have very like bombastically painted buildings. So I grew up in like a teal house. My neighbor's house was hot pink. And I
Okay.
think, and that has a lot to do with like, our traditional rituals and parades, carnival, but also the fact that the water is teal and the sky is always blue, and like we have like hibiscus and tropical plants everywhere. I struggled with answering the color question when I was in grad school, but the truth is, I grew up with those colors all around me, and that's going to come in the work. And then we also have like the design aspect of it as well. Color theory plays a huge role in my work as well.
It's very interesting, and I don't know if I'm wrong, but it can also, have like this signifier with, um, even with gender today, like how, certain colors are associated with certain genders, and it hasn't always been like that either. So it's very challenging and something to think about. And the last question is, um, so what are you working on right now? Basically, just tell us.
Oh, I'm working on my first solo museum show.
Oh,
um,
that's amazing.
yeah, at the California African American Museum here in LA. It's titled Atlantica, the Gilda region, and it's based on one of my favorite novels, The Gilda Stories by Jewel Gomez. And it also incorporates like my own mythologies of like being an alien from another planet. The planet's called Atlantica, and it's a very large scale installation. Basically, I'm reproducing my home planet on Earth, and it has like plants involved, and I'm really excited. So that's coming up May 26th, hopefully.
Wow, it's almost here.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so exciting. I am so glad that we could do this today, and thank you for being here in Five Word Questions, and stay tuned for the next episodes of Five Word Questions. Remember that this is March, so it's Women's History Month, and I'm so grateful again that you were able to join us.
Thank you.